Hey you guys, welcome back to High Priestess Transmissions. My name is Nikki. I am an initiated High Priestess, witch, psychic medium, and spiritual healer. And I wanted to talk to y'all again about dark feminine energy. Because let me be honest, a lot of dark feminine content online is absolute bullshit. And I need women to stop confusing manipulation tactics with empowerment. Because that is the complete opposite. Because if your version of dark feminine energy is learning how to seduce men, manipulate them, withhold affection strategically, play psychological games, or trick people into giving you money, attention, favors, or commitment, that is not dark feminine energy. Okay, that is wounded feminine energy in a pretty dress, and a sexy black leather dress. And energetically, it's icky as fuck. Girl, I'm going to call you out. Okay, of all the things that you could be doing in this world, that is where you're focusing your energy and your power. Manipulating a man, obsessing over how to psychologically gain people into desiring you, learning quote-unquote feminine hacks to get chosen. That is dumpster diving behavior. That is not power, that is not confidence, that is not sovereignty. That is a wounded woman trying to survive through seduction because she does not yet believe she is inherently valuable without performance. Okay, and I say that with compassion, but also with firmness. Because some of you are being sold toxicity under the label of empowerment, and it's very problematic and dangerous. Okay, because y'all don't understand how many ebooks and courses even and posts and videos that I see on a daily basis advertising this crap. Buy my $55 ebook and learn how to manipulate him. Learn how I received $10,000 in 5 days by doing this 6-step process of dark feminine energy. That kind of crap. And the feminine is already seen as prey in society. But when you get into that energy of being manipulative and also trying to be a predator, you're going to attract even more predators. You'll think you're gaming them, the whole time they're gaming you. It's just icky, energetically. Okay, and I'm going to tell y'all what I believe dark feminine actually is. Dark feminine energy is not manipulation. Dark feminine energy is your inner masculine in service to your feminine. It's your authority, your boundaries, your discernment, your resilience, your assertiveness, your willingness to protect what matters, quickly, aggressively, and unapologetically. Your ability to say no without guilt. Your refusal to be walked over, drained, or disrespected. Dark feminine is your inner warrior. That's why so many goddesses, dark goddesses, they might be like deities of magic, like Hecate, or cemetery death energies like Cynthia and Doki and Palo. But they're also warriors and goddesses of war. And that energy that lives within all of us is the part of you that says, no, that does not work for me. No, you don't get access to me like that. And no, you cannot manipulate, disrespect, use, or diminish me. It is your energetic machete. Not because you're cruel or harsh or rash, but because you know when softness is appropriate. And what's very important to know is the feminine without healthy masculine structure becomes chaotic, unbounded, people-pleasing, emotionally vulnerable and porous, overgiving, easily manipulated, desperate to be chosen. And that is what I see online constantly. Women being taught that dark feminine energy means putting on some black eyeshadow, saying a few lines, and becoming more seductive. When in reality, many of them do not need to become more seductive. You need to become more selective. You need to become more boundaried. You need standards, discernment, nervous system regulation through boundaries. Noticing when someone, especially a man, throws off the whole energetic system of your nervous system. You need self-respect. You need the capacity to disappoint others without collapsing. Because a woman in her true dark feminine does not manipulate. She simply becomes unavailable for what dishonors her. That's it. No games. No tactics. No fake scarcity. No pretending not to text back for 6 hours because you want to look mysterious and busy. No make him obsessed rituals. And this is going to be a tangent, but it's necessary. Spirit is saying it's necessary. I don't do obsession spells. And to be honest with y'all, I really don't like when people come to me wanting obsession work. Okay. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because when someone comes to me wanting me to do a love spell in the form of an obsession work, I ask them very bluntly, have you ever had someone obsessed with you? And every time I've asked a client that during a consultation, they've always said no. And I say, well, let me tell you something. I have. Many women have. And it's not very fun. I know that the feminine part of us, the princess part of us that lives within all of us, desires to be swept away. And we want a man that is obsessed with us. And when we're really attached to someone, we want that specific person to be obsessed with us. Because we're obsessed with them, right? I totally understand that. But it's not what it's cracked up to be. Okay? Until you've been stalked and have somebody literally hiding in your bushes, or hunting you down in between classes at college at 18 years old, and you have to be walked to and fro class by college security, by campus security, not just one officer, but 2. And the whole school during class transition time is looking at you being walked around by these 2 officers. And they don't know what's going on, so they think that you got in trouble. Every day until that motherfucker decides to leave you alone. Mm-hmm. And they're like, can you do it with a dark goddess? Like, can you do it with Hecate? I've touched on this before in many videos. Hecate is not the one you want to go to for love spells 9 times out of 10. Because a lot of women, if you feel like you need to do a love spell on a man, 9 times out of 10, he's not the right one for you. And if you go to Hecate wanting that, best case scenario, she'll decline. Worst case scenario, she can turn him crazy. Hecate has the power to make people insane. Okay? Okay. Let me continue with my notes. That's a whole different topic. If y'all want to know more about that, about Hecate and love spells and how they can manifest, if she's not 100% in agreement with it, let me know in the comments. Anyway, where were we? Like, a woman in her true dark feminine energy doesn't need to orchestrate obsession. Her energy naturally commands respect because she respects herself. And dark feminine energy is not about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. Your impulses, your reactions, your standards, your boundaries, your emotional regulation, and your ability to walk away when necessary. It's self-mastery. It's a woman who can be soft, but she's not weak. Tender, but not naive. Loving, but not easily played. open-hearted but protected. And quite frankly, a lot of women are attracted to dark feminine content because they're wounded. Because we've been hurt, we've been used, rejected, abandoned, betrayed, cheated, stolen from, etc. So now they want their power back, understandably. But instead of healing, they chase counterfeit power. And if you really notice, if you participate in these behaviors, one of two things is going to happen. Number one, you'll get the desired outcome, but it'll be very short term. Because energetically, it's not rooted in anything with integrity. Or two, it can actually turn very dangerous. Like, if you choose to manipulate the wrong man, they can turn on you and try to hurt you once they realize they're being manipulated. But it happens because wounded people often confuse power with control. But real power is not controlling others. Real power is becoming so internally solid that nobody can control you. So if you're consuming dark feminine content and it's teaching you how to manipulate men, I need you to understand that is not feminine empowerment. That is trauma response rebranded and packaged in a way to make money. That is pain in lipstick. And that is wounded feminine energy cosplaying as power. And true dark feminine energy is the woman who knows when to nurture and knows when to bare her teeth and show her teeth. She knows when to soften and when to draw the line, when to forgive and when to walk away forever. She is soft where it is safe, sharp when it's necessary, and unattainable where she is not valued. So if this episode called you out a little, good, because some of you do not need better seduction tactics. You don't, let me say this with love. You don't, unless you already have a healthy partner, you don't need to be seducing anybody right now. You need healing. You need boundaries. You need self-respect. You need to stop trying to become irresistible to people who should not have access to you in the first place. I don't give a fuck what the reason is. If you need money, if you're trying to build your social network and social climb, no. If you need shelter, a place to stay, no. That's survival, no. And if you're a woman, healing your wounds around boundaries, self-worth, people-pleasing, emotional regulation, nervous system healing, and feminine embodiment, my healing container may be exactly what you need. Because we don't teach performance and theatric feminine energy here. We heal the woman beneath the wound. And you can apply at sirensnectar.com/healing. And if this resonated, share it with a woman who needs to stop confusing manipulation with empowerment, because we need to raise the standard for what feminine power actually looks like.